Hey, my name is Mike Hernandez, and this message is for this video. Really, it's a video, not a message. This video is for convenience store district managers, multi unit managers. And I wanted to share some resources that are available that you may or may not know about. And in some cases, um, you're going to be familiar with the topics if you've been in position for a while. But if you're a newer DM, or if you are somebody who wants to be your store manager and you want to get ready for a promotion, this is a great resource. And I'm going to be honest, I created this whole concept, and it's just me, one person, right? But I went and decided to work on this because I cannot tell you how many times, no matter what company, no matter where it was, we'd sit in our district meetings and, DMs, you get hammered sometimes, right? Division manager, operations manager, whatever you want to call it. And you're under the gun. And what's going on with staffing? And what's going on with the shortages? And what are you doing? And what are we going to do to fix all this, right? And you traveled a long way sometimes. I remember I was in Lucachuca, Arizona, and we'd have to go to have our quarterly business reviews in Tempe, Arizona. Well, that was a 6-hour drive for me. On the way back, because I lost an hour, I think it was 7 hours or something like that. I used to run a district around Lake of the Ozarks, and we'd have to go to the office was somewhere in Illinois, Rockford, Illinois, and my God, that was just for me. That was a long drive just to get there, and so you're tired. That's what I was getting at. You look around and your colleagues and coworkers are tired as the day goes on, and y'all just want to get back to business. You're checking your phones, you're taking breaks, and come on, let's just get this over with, right? But at any rate, I just remember, sometimes the frustration and the despair of some DMs that were understaffed and needed managers, and you could tell they're hustling, running around. And so I went through that sometimes. I'm not going to say I didn't. But if I can help you by training your employees, not directly, not in place of your company policies. This is supplemental, like AFLAC, supplemental training. If I can make them aware, they're going to be better prepared. And so this is kind of the concept behind it, right? And there's a lot of stuff in here. This is a cStoreThrive.com. Come check it out. And what I did was I think I have 531 articles on here. Now, some of the stuff you know, some of it you may not know. Some of the stuff you may not remember, right? It's a refresher. But your employees can access this. And there are different things. Some of the stuff you're going to say, Mike, that doesn't even apply to the position. Well, it may not in your case, but to somebody who works for an independent, it may. Right? I've had people tell me that. And it's true. But the other thing is, because it doesn't apply to an assistant manager right now, doesn't mean that they shouldn't know about it later, right? It's going to help speed up their development. And so that's how this is intended, the spirit that this is in. So you can come in here, they can come in here, and there are a lot of things I've experimented with, a lot of different stuff, right? Basket size, profit power forecast, these different series of stuff. And again, some of it may give you a better understanding that you haven't had access to. Sometimes it's a recalibration, or it's just a talking point. Hey, you know what? I'm going to check these things this week across my stores for consistency, right? So in some cases, you may need an email to access this. And if you do, I want to assure you, you're not going to get any emails from me. I hate emails. In fact, a lot of people do. This is one of my inboxes, 12,811 emails. I don't have time to go through all this nonsense. And because I have so much, it's kind of like, do I even want to come back in here? So I assure you, you're not getting an email from me. That is only going to give you access to some of these resources. Most of it's free, but in some cases, there's a price of admission, right? Things that I'm working on. This is a big one. When you move, I want you to think about your transition from store manager to district manager. I want you to think about your business reviews, your P&L presentations, how uncomfortable they can be, right? We don't know who's showing up. Senior management's going to be there. You got to make sure. And depending on your audience, sometimes you get just like you're up in the firing line. And how much time do you put into those? How much stress do they cause you? I've seen it everywhere. All the companies I worked at, didn't matter. Tenured managers, tenured DMs, but it takes time. If you're doing these quarterly, like we started out doing when I was a district manager at Coastal Mart, you're not getting the practice frequently enough. But, and I love to credit people, there was this guy named Dan Raymond, and he had the Wyoming area. My God, this guy was just incredible. And as a rookie DM, I took a lot of notes. I asked questions, and I just kind of watched. And I watched Dan. And if you went before Dan, it was almost better. But a lot of times that's when people start off a little salty. They start asking all the questions, right? They're a little gung-ho, a little aggressive. But if you went after Dan, you almost didn't want to go because it was embarrassing. He was so good. And you just knew that you were this small next to Dan Raymond. Dan Raymond, if you're alive and you're watching this, man, my hat's off to you. I always credit you because I learned from you. But what my whole message is, I got very good at this really quick. But I've seen so many different managers. I didn't always have the answers, don't get me wrong. And there were times where, yes, it gets a little uncomfortable. But the preparation, I mean, I can hang with anybody. And I have more stories about that. But right now, it's not really about me. I just want you to know, you know the deal, right? Bullshit. Bullshit. When you get bullshitters up there, and I'm just being straight, right? You know who they are. I hope it's not you, but you may be, right? Sometimes you'll throw something out just to get them off your back, right? But anyway, so this is a big one, right? And I'm working on something like this to help people who need it. But at any rate, that's why you would need an email as your price of admission, the ticket. But you're not going to get any emails from me. I don't like that, and I just showed you why. Now, sometimes, recently I started something called C-Store Legends. And it's a short podcast, very short. But this is what it is, and you may need something here. Because what I'm doing is, I have 5 podcast episodes, series. Sales associate dive, they're diving in to learn the business. Survive for assistant managers because that's the hardest job in the company, right? You're kind of in limbo. If there's a purgatory or whatever, that's kind of what this would be like, right? They move up, now their friends aren't their friends anymore, sales associates or coworkers. Who did this person think they is? But then, or they are, but then you got your manager that just pawns everything and dumps everything on them, right? Blames them for everything. It's tough. So they're trying to survive. And then you go into Thrive for your store managers. And then, of course, Drive, district managers, because you're driving all the time on the road, a lot of windshield time. And then Arrive, it's for store owners, independents. But what I'm doing each week is everybody's getting the same message, just from a different perspective. And every week, everybody has a challenge for their, position. Because if all 5 are getting the same message, then everybody can be working on that, right? That's the focus for the week. You can run that by. If you get your employees on this, you run that by and let them know. And then that way, when you walk into the stores, you have something to talk about. And then you know who's doing the work and who's not, right? So the way I intended this and I'm designing this is for the cream to rise to the top. It's going to help you identify. But you're also going to get, each level is going to get something, a resource. And so there's a code word. Text this code word to get the resource. Now, again, for those who have reservations, well, I don't want to text, I don't have time. You don't have time. I showed you the email, same thing. I don't have time. I'm going to text you the resource, and that's it. It's on you now. So I'm going to show you that resource. All right. Each group or each segment is going to get something like this when they text. Okay. So you fill this out. Your employees, same thing, right? They would fill this out. And what this becomes is, one, you're not going to pencil whip. Yes, you're going to check some of these things, right? Don't get me wrong. But you're going to fill this stuff out. You're going to put notes, right? And maybe this should be your division manager, OM manager. But at any rate, you're going to go through here and you're going to check this, right? 1 row per store per delivery day. And maybe you don't have to do that all the time, but maybe depending on your company and the resources you have, maybe this becomes something that gets done every day. I don't know. Escalation rule, 3 documented failures from the same vendor in 1 quarter, grounds for a formal vendor performance review. And we used to go around, obviously you're riding stores and you're seeing all these different issues. Sometimes you can call a vendor and they'll react because you're the district manager, or they don't listen to the store manager, they blow them off. And a lot of times it's the same thing. They might blow you off and you have to get your boss, district or division manager, operations manager, of the marketing people involved, because they're just not listening to you, right? They're blowing you off. And so this becomes a portfolio. But, proof of work, you have the proof here. So you have the files. You're going to write this stuff in. Which vendor had the worst delivery compliance this week? And what escalation did you take? You're filling this out, right? You're not pencil whipping this. You're filling this out. And at some point, I'm going to have something where you submit this, which I'll keep track of, because this is going to turn into a industry certification, right? That's my goal. And so what that means is, one, if you're ever trying to apply for an operations manager position, right? You want to move up in your organization. Okay, one, if you have your boss signing off on stuff like this, he's going to know that you're actually doing the work. That's one, right? Well, cream's going to rise to the top, right? But two, and I know a lot of you know this, but there may be new people coming up, right? You may have trainees that you're grooming to fill positions, right? Vacancies that may be coming up. So this becomes their proof of work. They complete this, sign off, there's a trail, right? But also, for some of you who are more tenured, or you're looking to, make a change, this is your portfolio, right? When you go interview for that position or a different, maybe something, a lateral movement in the company, whatever the case is, why should we give you this? Well, here you go, right? And again, at some point in the future, it's my goal to make this an industry certification. You go apply for a job somewhere else, here, I'm certified. Other people aren't going to have that. And there'll be other things too, right? That'll be specifically for DMs. But I kind of want to show you, why this is, right? Why I'm setting it up the way I'm setting it up. Because I don't want you just to hear something. I want it to transfer into a skill that's going to make you more valuable. It's going to make your team more valuable. And hopefully it's going to result in you being more valuable for the company, which means more earning opportunities, right? More opportunities to move up, to bonus, to do all those other things. Maybe even to become like a mentor, senior to other people, right? Give you a little bit more status. So I hope this makes sense. Again, text, right? Don't worry about anything else, right? Getting other stuff. I'm not going to be doing that. I don't have time. All right. The last thing I want to do is go into the podcast. These are all available. They've been, and maybe you weren't aware of it. If you watch this, now you are. Same thing, right? 77 episodes for assistant managers, or I'm sorry, sales associates. 78 for assistant managers. 87 for store managers. Store managers needed the most. And up until recently, they were the ones who had the least amount of downloads. District managers, again, a lot of this stuff you may know. But sometimes it's a refresher. Independent owners. And the beautiful thing about this is there's no restrictions, there's no boundaries, there's no walls, no obstacles. Somebody here can listen to this. You can listen to these and maybe give you reminders like, oh yeah, assistant managers. You have a lot of time to drive, more than they do usually, right? So I made this for that reason. You have employees that want to move up. You have employees that want to learn. So make them aware of it. Again, think about you sitting in those district meetings. Those, look at your peers. Look how much you have on your plate. I was in your shoes for a long time. That's why I'm doing this, right? To try to take care of that for you. So you can focus on, working on the positive things, working on the details. When you get your team to a certain level, right? Again, this is supplemental. This does not override your information, your training, your whatever, right? Your company policies, not at all. This is supplemental, right? To complement that. So they have these. There's plenty to listen to. And I'll be adding more. But I also have some other variations. I have this for people in Spanish who work in kitchens. Because places I've been, more than one across the United States, had kitchens, and usually they're Hispanic ladies who speak Spanish. And they don't get the same training because obviously the language is a barrier and a lot of companies don't have those resources, or somebody who's bilingual. I stayed in Dodge City, Kansas for several months for that same reason. I was the only one who spoke Spanish, and they had a kitchen there, kitchen ladies. Smoke break, short segments. I have so much more to add in here, but I haven't. Store clears out. You know the deal. Employee wants to go take a cigarette break. Well, let them learn something. Short, 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. 6 tops. And then in Spanish, because I've been in markets where they spoke Spanish. Again, I'll refer to Dodge City, Kansas, Garden City, Kansas, Laredo, Texas, here in McAllen, and those parts of the country primarily, but that's a need. And this here. And one thing I did forget to point out is when we come back over here, I've put these into different languages. So people can listen. This is just going to give you this right here. But if we go into the actual document, it's going to give you the whole thing. And again, all the person does is English or Spanish. So if you found this channel, and let's just say your native language is French, email me, admin@cstorecenter.com. Mike, I saw the YouTube video. I saw this. I want it in French. Can you put it in French? That way I can listen to it. German. Whatever the case is, right? Again, the email is your ticket. That's like the price of admission. That's your skin in the game. That lets me know that, you know what, you're serious about it. And you're going to listen. So that's where I'm at with all this. I've got a lot more coming. I'm one person. And I work full time. I'm a high school teacher. I came into this position so that I could have the stable schedule and get the experience and practice putting lessons and things like that together, right? Because this is massive. And right now, I've tried to lay the foundation. Now I'm going to go a little deeper. And so everybody's going to get things that apply to the convenience store more directly. And again, if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, email me. That way I know. I'm on spring break right now of the week, and I'm making all these videos for YouTube, but I'm going to have shorts and I have a lot of stuff. And to that point, I use technology. This is a huge undertaking. And I'm just one person. But I use AI, I use avatars, and so you're going to see a lot of videos and you're going to see stuff like that. But everything I'm doing is really going to be for the benefit of anyone, anywhere, anytime in the industry who wants to develop. So it makes sense. Like, share, let your employees know. You can have those conversations when you walk into the store. Hey, this week, did you work on it? Yes, I did. What'd you think? Well, and what'd you find, more importantly? What'd you learn? What'd you find? So that gives you conversations you can have with your employees. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Cream's going to rise to the top, I guarantee you. That's how I'm building this. So thanks for watching, and let your employees know about this. Let your fellow district managers know about it. And I'll see you in another video soon.